I never thought my life could unravel in a single week. I always considered myself a patient, understanding husband. I'm David, 38, married to Claire for 10 years. We had a comfortable life, or at least I thought we did. Our mornings were quiet but routine. Evenings filled with small talk and occasional laughter. We had 2 kids, a house in the suburbs, and a life that most would call perfect. Or at least that's what I told myself. It all started subtly. Claire began staying out longer than usual, claiming extra hours at work or errands with friends. At first, I shrugged it off, attributing it to stress or just the busy rhythm of life. But then little things began stacking up. Missed calls, hushed tones when I entered the room, the sudden obsession with her phone. Something in me tightened every time I saw her glance at it with that guilty flicker in her eyes. One evening, I returned home earlier than usual, hoping for a simple dinner together. The house was eerily quiet. Claire was nowhere to be seen, and the smell of someone else's cologne lingered faintly in the living room. My heart sank. I wanted to believe it was nothing, just my imagination running wild. But deep down, a knot formed in my stomach, a suspicion I couldn't ignore. I decided to stay calm, rational. I didn't want to accuse her blindly, not yet. But then came the day that changed everything. While cleaning the attic, I stumbled upon a small set of hidden cameras I had installed months ago. Not out of paranoia, but as a precaution. Something told me I should check the footage. My hands trembled slightly as I scrolled through days of recordings, not expecting to find what I did. There she was, my wife, my Claire, laughing intimately with someone I knew as our neighbor, Mark. The casual touch, the way she leaned into him. It wasn't just a friendly gesture. It was deliberate, secretive, and shocking. My chest tightened, and my hands shook as I continued watching. There were multiple instances I hadn't noticed before, moments that suddenly made sense. The late nights, the whispers, the excuses. Every lie, every moment she tried to hide, now crystal clear on tape. I sat there frozen, staring at the screen, feeling a mix of anger, disbelief, and heartbreak. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a betrayal that had been happening right under my nose for months. I had always tried to trust, to be patient, to give her space. And yet, here it was, undeniable proof of her secret. The next few days were a blur. I didn't confront Claire immediately. I couldn't. Every time I looked at her, the laughter, the casual smile, it felt like salt on a wound. My mind was racing, replaying the footage over and over, trying to make sense of how someone I trusted completely could be so distant and deceptive. I began observing her more carefully, pretending nothing was wrong. Every whispered phone call, every sudden trip to the store, every lingering look at Mark. It all confirmed what I had seen on the cameras. It was deliberate, orchestrated. And yet, I stayed composed. I told myself I wasn't going to explode, not yet. I had to be smart. I had to see this through to the end. One evening, I invited Claire over for a quiet dinner, just the 2 of us, under the guise of normalcy. She walked in smiling, completely unaware that I knew. I poured the wine, set the table, and tried to act as if nothing had changed. "You've been working a lot lately," I said casually, avoiding eye contact. She nodded, smiling, the tension completely absent on her face. It made my stomach churn. After dinner, I excused myself, pretending to check on something in the attic. That's when I played the footage for the second time, focusing on the nights she claimed she was working late. Each clip hit me harder than the last. There was no remorse, no hesitation, just the casual intimacy, the shared jokes, the secret touches that marked my home as a place she had shared with someone else without a single thought for me. I realized something crucial that night. This wasn't just about anger or humiliation. This was about reclaiming my life and my dignity. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to plead. I had proof. I had clarity. And most importantly, I had a choice. The following morning, I waited until she left for work. I gathered all the footage onto a secure drive, backed it up in multiple locations. I didn't need to confront her yet. The time for confrontation would come. And when it did, she would see just how powerless she had made me feel, and how much control I could still have. For the first time in months, I felt a strange calm. This calm wasn't forgiveness, it was preparation. Preparation for the moment I would reclaim my home, my family, and my life. The betrayal had been hidden, yes, but the truth could not remain buried forever. Over the next few days, I watched Claire closely while maintaining my usual routine. I didn't act rashly. I let her believe everything was normal. But inside I was planning. Every smile, every casual conversation she gave me, I measured against the truth I now held. And then came the moment I had been waiting for, a slip. It was late afternoon, and I was in the living room pretending to read. Claire came in, humming, clearly unaware that I had checked her phone earlier and noticed a message from Mark. She thought she was being discreet, but her habit of hiding her screen in front of me was second nature. That tiny gesture, the way she quickly swiped to cover the text, was all the proof I needed that she had become careless, overconfident. That evening, I calmly invited her to sit with me. My voice was steady, neutral. "Claire, I need to show you something," I said. I played the footage from the hidden cameras. Her face went pale. At first, she tried to laugh it off, denying making excuses. "It's not what it looks like," she said, fumbling with her words. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't shout. I just let the clips speak for themselves. Each frame landed like a hammer blow. The casual touches, the whispered laughter, the nights she had worked late. Everything laid bare. She couldn't hide behind charm or excuses anymore. I saw the shift in her eyes, the first glimpse of fear, the realization that I had known all along. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I simply said, "Do you understand now? This is exactly what you've been doing behind my back." Silence. The only sound was her breathing, heavy and uneven. I continued. "I trusted you. I gave you my life, and this is how you repaid me. And now you will face the consequences of your choices." Claire sank into the couch, stunned, unable to find a word. For the first time, she saw me. Not the husband she had taken for granted, not the man she assumed would stay blind, but someone who had control over the truth. The power had shifted. I didn't need to explain further. The evidence, the months of hidden betrayal, spoke louder than any confrontation could. That night, I went to bed alone for the first time in years, feeling a mix of emptiness and liberation. Betrayal is a wound, yes, but it's also clarity. I had proof, I had truth, and I had a plan for my next steps. Claire would realize that secrets are dangerous, that betrayal carries consequences, and that one cannot simply play with trust without being exposed. The following week was tense. Claire barely spoke, moving through the house like a shadow of herself. I maintained my calm, my routines untouched, letting her simmer in the knowledge that I knew everything. There was no yelling, no pleading, just the quiet weight of truth between us. I focused on myself, my kids, and the things that mattered. For the first time in months, I felt in control of my life again. I realized that betrayal doesn't just hurt. It can awaken a clarity you never expected. I had been blind, patient, and forgiving for too long, and it had only allowed deceit to flourish. Claire eventually confronted me, trembling, desperate for explanations, but I didn't give her the satisfaction of panic or anger. "You've seen everything," I said simply. "It's your choice how you proceed, but understand this. You've crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed." Her silence said more than words ever could. That night, I went to bed again alone, but I didn't feel broken. I felt ready. Ready to rebuild, ready to protect what mattered, and ready to ensure that trust and respect would never again be taken for granted in my life. Betrayal had tried to define my story, but I refused. The secret was out. The cameras had revealed the truth. And in that revelation, I found not despair, but power, clarity, and the resolve to never be unseen, unheard, or disrespected again.